يشعرون. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم. هو الله الذي لا إله العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون. هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض.
Kia rātou katoa, noho te kapua pauri tēnei wā. Uki taki mahara kia rātou I roti o tautahi me ngā whānui, wainganui a tātou I roti tēnei hātori a Waipapa Taumatarau. Tuatahi ake e mihi atu ki a koe I te rangatira o tō karakia. Tukuna mai ki a mātou I roti te rangi maari I roti tō reo. I te rangatira tēnā koe, tēnā koe, tēnā koe. Tātou katoa, ngā kaiwhakarite o tēnei kaupapa, tō tātou pāwhakawairua, shahela, tēnā koe, tō tēnei hone re nui mōku ki te haramai ki tō taha o tō whānau hoki, ki te tuku nāmehi ki a tātou. Hoki taku mahara ki a rātou, kua whitirangitia ki te pō, ka rongo a hau. Seek to take on board what we call tohu o te taiao. Things, acknowledgements that come from nature, in particular in seeing this time of Rākaunui, the full moon. We want to acknowledge all of the cultures that acknowledge these tohu o te taiao as well, and give the opportunities that they give us to reflect back on the pathways that have been walked well before us, leading up to this point, and the pathways that are yet to be walked by our young ones. And our grandchildren to come. So with that, I just wanted to leave with a quick whakatauki left behind by us there's two parts to it. Ko hau te rongo. It's left behind by a gentleman by the name of Pate. He was a Catholic priest, but he was also a holder of traditional Māori knowledge from the north. And he proposed this concept of ko hau tia te rongo, the binding of peace. On all of us and all occasions, so we can remind ourselves of our collectivity and our collective origins as well. Because at one point in time, we were the same person. And so, with that, we acknowledge Pātei, we acknowledge the kaupapa of Peace Week. In relation to that, just lastly, in 3 days' time for us, white people of that
words, they deliver the impact and the unity that Peace Week aims to foster. Now we would like to welcome Shaila Qureshi, our Muslim chaplain, to say a few words about Peace Week.
Can you hear me? Often told that I speak very softly and nobody can hear me, so just to make sure that you can hear me. There we go. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I start in the name of God, most merciful and compassionate. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace, mercy, I acknowledge the Marafenova tribe, Naikata, of this place and all the tribes in Marae. Thank you, Michael, for your visit and especially the short notice that I got you there. Thank you so much. Tena Tato Katoa. Established in 2021, Peace Week is a coordinated approach with acts of service and charity to honor the 15 Shahada, martyrs, and other victims. It's also an opportunity to learn and understand our different cultures, ethnicities, and faith by sharing, having conversations, and doing some good work. In our Peace Week 2022 webinar, Dr. Hamima Ahmed, a widow of one of the Shuhada, spoke words that hit a deep chord with us all. She said that national outpouring immediately after the attack offered such hope to the Muslim community, and then just as quickly faded, leaving an even more vulnerable state behind. It's not sufficient, she encouraged, to just feel something in the moment. Empathy without action is meaningless, she said. Empathy cannot be a single reaction or a momentary connection. For true social change, for a foundation of social cohesion, to build peaceful relationships with one another, we need to continue and do this with an intentional purpose, intentional in this space. We should be intentional in this space. This is our 5th year of Peace Week. Just as Dr. Hamima reminded us, we continue to be intentional in our aim of true social change and to build communities and peaceful relationships. There will be challenges along the way, as we can see with the reduction of funding. And I can see this all over, not just in Christchurch, I'm told, and I'm sure Dr. Amina will say that the funding for Christchurch for the families, they have been cut or stopped, so they've just been left. And it's the same here as well, unfortunately, at the University of Auckland as well. Our funding keeps cutting for this initiative, but we have to strive, we have to carry on and do what we can. Peace Week themes and key messages from the previous years have been charity, empathy. Our focus has been empathy. We tend to have empathy as our focus. We also had justice and courage last year. And this year we have unmasking prejudice, the power of knowledge and empathy. I welcome our esteemed speakers, Dr. Fatima Junaid and Dr. Amina Ali, and I'm really, really humbled that you came all the way from Palmerston North, Dr. Fatima, and of course, thank you so much. I'm going to end with a quote of Ibn Sina, the great 10th century polymath. He wrote, "The pursuit of knowledge is the noblest of all human endeavors, for it is through understanding that we come to know the world and ourselves." And that's our attempt. That's our attempt in spreading knowledge. That's our attempt to bring people together to have a conversation. And thank you so much for being here.
It specializes in organizational behavior and human resources. She's an experienced consultant and educator working within public and private sectors for over 2 decades. Dr. Junaid has done extensive research with marginalized...
Because unless we acknowledge, we don't address. Some of the aspects, some of the daunting findings were, for example, 50% people felt that others treated them as though they are not smart or they are afraid of them. 42% experienced that others treated them as though they are dishonest. Just because probably the perception about the way they looked or appeared. 50% felt that they were treated with less respect or courtesy. And 58% of people, like me, who's a parent, felt that a child or children have been discriminated at school, at least sometimes. Now, when I said to you, please keep that thought of 85% felt that Islamophobia is there. This is our sample. The people who responded. 95% of them have high school degrees. 45% of them have master's or doctoral degrees. What I didn't put here is majority were above the median pay. All of them, it was only available in English. So all of them could speak English, all of them had access to the computers, all of them knew how to fill this. The least opted went for counseling. However, trying to find spiritual comfort and support was then one of the key ways that people dealt with such experiences. So now we know this. We asked, don't worry, I'm not going to ask you a difficult question. I've given difficult questions to these guys to ask you. But then a lot of things sound very common sense, but yet we don't do them, to be honest. it's not.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
So in a moment, this activity, it's just a few minutes, and then we'll convene together. So I want you to think back to March 15th, 2019, Friday afternoon when the news broke that there was a shooting in Christchurch. One of the early news bulletins, it was One News, was reporting, breaking news, major shooting in Christchurch. I want you to reflect back on what your initial reaction was. Who did you imagine the victims might be? What assumptions did you make about the shooter? As the details started to unfold during the day, and we learned the shooting took place at a mosque, how did that influence your thoughts? What went through your mind when the first images of the victims appeared? And when we learned the identity of the shooter, how did that affect your response? Now it's 2025, and if you were to hear the same breaking news, a major shooting in a city in New Zealand, what images or assumptions would come to your mind now? Now I want us to take a few moments just to ground yourself back to the room, take a few deep breaths, we're in a safe environment. Just give you a moment to do that. Leaders, young people and familiar faces that will congregate every July as we do in our communities. The children who are slowly making sense of the impact of what happened and how their world changed suddenly one Friday afternoon. And what we do know is the lives of hundreds of people have changed for generations to come. Oh, I just realized. So what is our relationship to prejudice? Am I prejudiced? We often think of prejudice as binary, so I'm prejudiced to a community or I'm not prejudiced. But the reality is,